इकोनॉमिक्स के लिए जीएस इकोनॉमिक्स क्या करना, मतलब क्या एग्जाम के लिए, प्रीलिम्स के लिए? बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ो, ठीक है। इससे पढ़ना, विवेक सिंह ये भी पढ़ सकते हो। रमेश सिंह है, रमेश सिंह नहीं, विवेक सिंह। रमेश सिंह मत पढ़ना, रमेश सिंह इज नॉट फॉर जीएस, वो तो ऑप्शन बच्चे के लिए। और करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ना जरूर, एंड इकोनॉमिक सर्वे और बजट कंपल्सरी, ऑल द key terms, key concepts, some statistics from economic survey and budget. ठीक है, so we're discussing nationalism. So especially we have discussed about the rise of nationalism in 18th and 19th century. So what is this nationalism? It is especially in 18th and 19th century, a movement that has begun, a movement or a feeling that has begun in Europe, where people of common language or common traditions or common economic interest, people of common language, common traditions, and common economic interest shall not be separated politically. So, what is this nationalism? Nationalism as a movement began in 18th and 19th century, where there started a feeling that people of common language, common traditions, and common economic interests shall not be separated politically. Right. So, this rose as a movement of liberalism versus conservatism. Liberalism versus conservatism. That means a movement of a liberal movement against the absolute monarchies. Right. So that started in 18th and much became prominent in 19th century. So it is a force of liberalism against the force of conservatism. Right. Ultimately, liberalism has won in this battle. Right. So this particular movement not only started in those states which are already became a nation. This movement started in those states which are already nations. Not only that, but also those who were not yet become nation. Okay. So this movement started not only in the states which already became a nation, but also those states which haven't become or which were not yet nations. Okay. So that means referring to examples to Italy and Germany. So nations in the sense like especially in this 19th century, the concept of this nationalism became much popular, where people started to have a sense of national identity has begun. And again, this moment of liberalism has got started from France. So that is July Revolution and February Revolution. July Revolution of 1830 and February Revolution of 1848 have, in fact, these two revolutions, which started again in France, as Metternich used to say, if France sneezes, rest of the Europe catches cold. Right. So the revolution that emerged in France in 1830 and 1848 sparked a series of liberal movements across the Europe. So the July Revolution and mainly February Revolution of 1848 sparked a series of movements across the liberal movements across the Europe, which actually changed the course of these movements changed what? Changed the political structure created under Vienna Congress. क्या हो गया? What happened? In 17, I'll just give the background. In 1789, a revolution broke out in France. What is this revolution? This revolution was led by the common class, commoners who belongs to the third estate against the privileged classes like first estate and second estate. So especially against the privileges enjoyed by the aristocracy who were supported by the king monarchy. So the French Revolution broke out as a reaction against that privileges enjoyed by aristocracy, demanding for reforms in the economy. So that began the French Revolution, which was led by middle class, right? Third estate. So, which we have already discussed. But finally, this French Revolution take different turns in 1795. In 1792 to 1795 under convention. Later under directory, they faced a series of financial crises, and again from 1799 onwards, the French went under the control of Napoleon, right? So where the French have seen Napoleonic wars, where France versus rest of the Europe. So during this time, Napoleon was defeated, and finally the European powers again met in a session called Vienna Congress in 1815. So what's the objective of Vienna Congress? To reorganize the disturbed political map of Europe, which was disturbed by Napoleon, right? So which we have seen, we have already discussed about Vienna Congress earlier. What are the principles under Vienna Congress? Balance of powers, restoration, compensation to the victors. Balance of power, principle of balance of powers, principle of restoration, and principle of compensation to the. So in that we have seen already. So if you want me to discuss again, I will discuss. But again, that's a different thing. So how the political map was restored back to 1791 position, and how the territories were distributed among the victors like Austria, Britain, Holland, right? So this Vienna Congress have restored the political map of Europe. So particularly again after 1815, again a revolution broke out in France in 1830. Again that in 1830 absolute monarchy was again replaced by constitutional monarchy, right? So and again in 1848 another revolt broke out in France where constitutional monarchy again replaced by republic. So ultimately again occurred in France only. Again occurred in France. So ultimately this sparked a series of movements across the world, across the Europe, which again changed the political structure created by Vienna Congress. Got it? So as I mentioned earlier, this liberal movements not only occurred in those states which are already nations, but also occurred in those states which are not yet formed as a nation, right? So in that context, we need to discuss about a liberal movement which led to unification of Italy and a movement that led to unification of Germany. Unification of Italy by 1870, unification of Germany by 1871. Okay, so we'll see these two topics. So that is unification of Italy. Unification of Italy. I'll wait, come soon. Thank you. हमारा टाइम इसी से चला जाएगा. ठीक है. See, basically, I'm talking about the adjustment made under Vienna Congress. Okay. See, there was no Italist before unification of Italy. There was no Italy. So what do we have? We have the Sardinia Kingdom. We have Piedmont Sardinia Kingdom. I will write again, but see here just. Northern Italy, Central Italy, Southern Italy. Northern Italy, Central Italy, Southern Italy. So in Northern Italy, what was the major state? That was Piedmont, Sardinia. Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. Whereas Lombardy, Venetia, here if you say Lombardy, Venetia were directly under Austria, not Parma, directly under Austria. Whereas Parma, Modena, Tuscany, Lucas were under indirect influence of Austria, including Naples and Sicily. I will write again, don't worry. Whereas central states, which were called as papal states, which includes Rome as well, were under Pope. Were under Pope. So, let us see here. Forget about that PDF. So, before, so see, during the time of French Revolution, especially post 1799 to 1850. What is this period? Napoleonic era, Napoleonic Wars. So during that time, Napoleon extended his control over Italian states. There's no Italy, but Italian states were there. These states which I have mentioned here. So during this time, these states were brought under the control of Napoleon. Napoleon brought all these Italian states under his control, right? So that means he brought these states under his control, especially established a centralized system in these states. For the first time, these states were brought under a single centralized system, which is under Napoleon. Otherwise, each have their own system. Understood? So, this created for the first time a sense of national unity. As I already mentioned earlier, Napoleon rule brought a sense of national identity or national unity among states, especially Italian states and German states. That led to unification of Italy and unification of Germany. So, during the time of French Revolution, Napoleon brought these Italian states under him and introduced a centralized administrative system, which created a sense of that people started believing that they belongs to a single origin, that is Italian, right? So that created a sense of national. So this sense of national unity continues, right? But what happened? Napoleon was defeated. Napoleon was defeated. Again, these states were restructured under Vienna Congress. Are you getting me? These states were restructured again under Vienna Congress. So let us see how they were reorganized. Reorganization under Vienna Congress. How? We have in north, we have Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, right? Whereas Lombardy, Venetia were under direct control of Austria. Were under direct control of Austria. Whereas provinces like Tuscany, Modena, Palma, Lucas, etc. were under indirect control of Austria, right? Whereas this is in north. Whereas in central states were called as papal states, were under Pope. Whereas in south, Kingdom of Naples and Kingdom of Sicily were under Bourbon monarchs, which were also under the influence of Austrian Habsburg monarchy. Understood? This was after Vienna Congress. After Vienna Congress. So, but as I mentioned earlier, the sense of national identity which started from the times of Napoleon rule in these Italian states will continue even after Vienna Congress restructuring, right? So especially this sense of identity, this sense of national identity continued to flourish, especially to overthrow or against the influence of Influence of what? Austria. Because whose influence is more in Austria? Sorry, whose influence is more on these Italian states? Austria. Only state that was outside Austrian influence was Sardinia Piedmont. The only state that was outside Austrian control was Piedmont, Sardinia, right? That's why it became the leader for unification of Italy. Got it? So let us see. See, unification of Italy. So, see, if you talk about unification of Italy, according to the statement of David Thompson, we can consider Mazzini as heart, Cavour as the brain, and Garibaldi as the sword of unification of Italy. Got it? So that means who are the main players of unification of Italy? Mazzini, Cavour, and Garibaldi, right? So Mazzini was considered to be heart of unification of Italy, whereas Cavour was considered as the brain and Garibaldi was considered as the sword of unification of Italy. So let us see how this unification of Italy got occurred, right? Understood so far? See, earlier they started a movement called Carbonari movement in Italy post Vienna Congress. Okay, they started a movement called Carbonari. So what is this Carbonari? Carbonari is an informal revolutionary secret society. It was an informal revolutionary secret society that was formed in Italy and which was active from 1800 to 1831. This organization was a secret revolutionary organization which was active from 1800 to 1831, organizing what? Revolutionary uprisings. Revolutionary uprisings in different parts of the Italian states against Austria. Against Austria. So these uprisings are towards what? Towards liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from Austrian control. So, however, these movements were brutally suppressed by Austria. These movements were brutally suppressed by Austria. So later, these movements were continued by Mazzini. These movements were continued by Mazzini, especially during the times of 1830 and 1848 revolution, right? So, who was Mazzini? He was a Republican. He was a Republican who led a liberal movement in Italian states. So he founded an organization called Young Italy Movement. What he founded? He founded an organization called Young Italy Movement. And under this Young Italy Movement, he organized a series of uprisings in Italy. He organized series of uprisings. So especially he organized a massive round of uprisings in 1848 when the revolution broke out in France. As I told you already, 1830 and 1848 revolutions in France sparked a series of uprisings throughout the Europe against conservatism. So that means this 1848 also had a reflection on Italian states where these uprisings were led by Mazzini. So Mazzini led these uprisings in 1848. So however, these uprisings were suppressed by Austria. So during this time, he was arrested and imprisoned. Later, he went on for exile. So during his exile, he recognized that uprisings were not sufficient enough for unification of Italy, or these uprisings were not enough or not sufficient to free Italy from Austrian control. So what he decided? He decided that a political organization, a strong political setup is required for unification of Italy, right? So that's why he tried to strengthen Young Italy organization, but later, gradually, his influence got reduced, and that was continued by Cavour. See, during this time, during the increasing popularity of Mazzini as a Republican, so there was different opinions emerged among the people. Actually, there was in Italy, there was different opinions. What are those opinions? Some people supported that unification of Italy must be brought under Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, whereas some wanted to bring it under Republicans, whereas some wanted to bring it under So this becomes Savoyard, this becomes Republican, this becomes papacy. So three ideas. What are they? Savoyard, that means wanted to bring Italian states under Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. The others, they wanted to bring it under Republicans, that was led by Mazzini. Some wanted to bring Italian states under the control of Pope, called papacy. So whatever it is, all these are for unification of Italy, that is called as Risorgimento, that is resurrection. It is nothing but the struggle for unification of Italy. So here, when Mazzini's popularity is gradually increasing, under Young Italy movement, so Cavour did not want that to happen. Cavour did not want that to happen. He did not want the unification of Italy to occur under Mazzini. So that's why he took control of the movement. So let us see, that begins the period of Cavour. Who is this Cavour? He was Prime Minister of Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. He wanted to bring the unification of Italy under the king of Piedmont, Sardinia, that is Charles Albert. Right? So, from here onwards, it was led by Cavour. So, he decided that because obviously the uprisings were failure. So, since he being the leader of Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, he won't carry uprisings. He wanted to strengthen Italy politically. He wanted to strengthen Italy politically because he believed that to realize unification of Italy, he wanted to internationalize the Italian cause first. He wanted to internationalize the Italian cause. So that's why he wanted to strengthen Italy politically and wanted to internationalize Italian cause. So in this context, he undertook series of reforms. So we will come to the reforms. So his objective was what? His objective was to overthrow Austria, and bring Italy under Piedmont, Sardinia, and wanted to make Piedmont, Sardinia as a powerhouse. And another objective is he wanted to bring series of reforms, especially constitutional reforms, and he wanted to internationalize Italian cause. So he wanted to strengthen themselves politically. So then only he realized that this unification of Italy can occur. So for that he undertook various objectives. What are the objectives? He wanted to overthrow Austria and wanted to bring entire Italy under Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, and he wanted to bring constitutional reforms and internationalize Italian cause. So in this context, he undertook a series of various socio-economic and constitutional reforms. Socio-economic and constitutional. And most importantly, he decided to he wanted to internationalize Italian cause. He wanted to so to internationalize Italian cause, obviously this Piedmont Sardinia kingdom has to participate in international affairs, right? So in that context, especially Italy joined. See, I am referring to Italy actually, but Italy means what here? Kingdom of Piedmont Sardinia. It joined Crimean War. Crimean War, which was broke out in 1854 in Europe, in which this was a war between Russia versus France, Britain, and Ottomans on one side versus Russia. So it was joined by he joined the alliance. So when he joined this alliance, and in fact this alliance defeated Russia. So that means in the Crimean War, the prestige of Kingdom of Sardinia have increased greatly because now it was part of the victors. Understood or not? So during that time, during this alliance, Cavour signed a treaty with Napoleon III, King of France. Cavour signed a treaty with Napoleon III. So during this time, what is this? Napoleon III promised that Promised what? He would support Italy against Austria. Napoleon III promised Italy that he will support Italian cause against Austria. Right. So Cavour was successful in that. Cavour was successful in that. In fact, after this war, even Kingdom of Piedmont Sardinia also got a seat at peace conference at Paris, especially after Crimean War. That means the prestige of Kingdom of Sardinia, Piedmont Sardinia got increased, and as well as the Italian cause got internationalized. Who was successful in that? Cavour. Right. So, in this context, in 1859, Austria declared war on Kingdom of Sardinia. Austria declared war on Kingdom of Sardinia, where Kingdom of Sardinia was supported by France under Napoleon III. So, in this, Austria was defeated. Austria was defeated, and from Austria, Cavour annexed the territories like Milan and Lombardy. However, unfortunately, Napoleon III changed his decision of supporting Italy because he believed that even unified Italy will not be conducive for France. So he decided to withdraw his support to Kingdom of Sardinia, and he entered into treaty with Austria. So when French withdrawn its support, Cavour decided to conclude the war. So he concluded the war through a peace treaty, that is Treaty of Zurich. Understood? Initially, when Austria declared war on Kingdom of Sardinia, France supported Kingdom of Sardinia, and both these have defeated Austria. Both these have defeated Austria in the Battle of Solferino. Whereas, but after that, France realized that unified Italy was not conducive for them. So that's why it withdrawn from the alliance and formed an alliance with Austria through a treaty of Villafranca. So Villafranca is a treaty between France and Austria. When this treaty was signed between these two, obviously it would not be easy for Cavour to defeat Austria again. So that's why he concluded a peace treaty and ended the war through a treaty called Treaty of Zurich. Right? So this is the role of Cavour in unification of Italy. Next comes Garibaldi. Right? So he was a patriot, a soldier, and a member of member of Young Italy. He was a soldier and earlier a member of Young Italy movement. So now he carried, particularly in 1860s, he carried the movement of unification of Italy. So yes, he formed an organization called Red Shirts Organization, where he recruited various young volunteers to fight for the cause, right? So what happened, especially in 1860s, there was a series of revolts occurred in Kingdom of Naples and Sicily against Bourbon monarchs. So in 1860s, people revolted against the monarchs of Kingdom of Naples and Sicily. So during this time, Garibaldi decided to take it as an advantage and he supported the people. Garibaldi supported people in these revolts, right? So during this time, it was Cavour who was in a dilemma whether to support Garibaldi or to support the Kingdom of Naples and Sicily, because Cavour, that is Kingdom of Sardinia, had very close cordial relations with Kingdom of Naples and Sicily. So that's why he cannot support Garibaldi openly, and at the same time he cannot openly oppose Garibaldi. So that's why Cavour declared Garibaldi as a independent, free and independent revolter, where Kingdom of Sardinia have no role in this revolt. Understood? If Cavour supported Garibaldi, obviously his relation with Kingdom of Naples and Sicily gets affected. If Cavour opposes Garibaldi, obviously he will be against the cause of Italy. So that's why Cavour decided to remain neutral, declaring that the activities of Garibaldi is nowhere related to Kingdom of Sardinia, right? So Garibaldi carried his series of revolutions or revolts under the name of his organization called Red Shirts Organization, right? So especially he launched a campaign in which he brought almost entire South Italy under him. That means Kingdom of Naples and Sicily were brought under Garibaldi. He almost threatened Rome as well. But threatening Rome invites France into the war. So that's where Rome was untouched. After Southern was occupied. So next is Rome. I have shown you, I will show you it again. So after conquering Southern Italy, he was about to target Rome. But Rome was left untouched because attacking on Rome attracts, because it's a papal state, right? Which is under Pope. So Pope is protected by France. So French will come into war. So that's why Rome was untouched. Now, this increased the prestige of Garibaldi in Southern Italy. Now, Cavour, earlier what he wanted to bring Italian states under Kingdom of Sardinia. But what is happening here? These were united under Garibaldi, an independent revolter. So that's why Cavour immediately sent Victor Emmanuel, that is current king of Sardinia, to take over the war. So Cavour immediately dispatched Victor Emmanuel to southern Italy to take the war from Garibaldi. In fact, at that point of time, people of Kingdom of Naples and Sicily were also favored to unite under Kingdom of Sardinia. So when people favored that, Garibaldi voluntarily surrendered the territories to Victor Emmanuel. Voluntarily surrendered the territories to Victor Emmanuel. So by this time, by 1861, almost all parts of Italy were brought under Kingdom of Sardinia, except Venetia and Rome. Except Venetia and Rome. So this was fulfilled. So actually, these were also brought under Italy, but not by direct war, but due to external developments occurred outside Italy. So what happened? In 1866, Prussia declared war on Austria. Prussia, because parallelly, the fight for unification of Germany under Prussia is also ongoing. So, in 1866, Prussia declared war on Austria, and Austria was defeated in the Battle of Sadowa. Battle of Sadowa. In this war, Sardinia sided with Prussia. Sardinia sided with Prussia. So after this war, Sardinia got Venetia. Sardinia got Venetia. Similarly, in 1870, Prussia declared war on France and defeated France in Battle of Sedan. In this war also, Italy was Kingdom of Sardinia sided with Prussia, and after this victory, they got Rome. So that means what are left? Venetia and Rome were fulfilled here, which completed the process of unification of Italy. Got it? So this is, so that's why started under Mazzini, continued by Cavour, completed by Garibaldi. But more or less under the leadership of Kingdom of Sardinia, because the main role was played by Kingdom of Sardinia. Got it? So this is the unification of Italy. Yeah. So this is Southern Italy and Rome. Rome, which is a separate unit, comes under the influence of France, represented by Pope. So other than that, we have Papal states, right? And we have northern states, which are under the indirect influence of Austria. Whereas only territory which is outside the influence of Austria was Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, which is called as Savoyard. It's called as, so this is called Savoyard, this is called Papacy, this is called Southern Italy. Good. Clear now? So write the notes then. Understood? Online students? Right. Huh? Cement? कौन सी? 1861 it was like started, completed by, because we are including Battle of Sedan, no? So that's why 1870 completed. What you written yesterday? Hmm? Rise of nationalism. उसमें क्या क्या लिखा? Ideas of nationalism and nation state. हाँ. Stages in growth of nationalism. हाँ, एक तो proto nationalism, दूसरी modern nationalism. Written there, no? That. Right on. Continue from there only. If you have kept the unification of Italy, no problem. You shouldn't have kept it. ये है ना? Right on. But no problem. You can continue. 18th century and 19th century. 18th and 19th century. Huh? Now, only same topic. We are discussing under rise of nationalism only, no? Open the syllabus. देखो कौन सी टॉपिक संचित? हाँ, nationalism. So see, in this we have discussed about rise of nation states. Yesterday I have clearly discussed, no? Rise of nation states. Nation states gave birth to nationalism. Unification of Italy, unification of Germany, examples of that nationalism. 1830 revolution, 1840, examples of that nationalism. Okay. Right on. 18th and 19th century. 18th and 19th century of Europe witnessed rise of nationalism, rise of nationalism. Nationalism was one of the novel features of 19th century. It was felt that people, all men united by common language, common traditions, and common economic interest shall not be politically separated. Next. This feeling of nationalism appeared mostly in not only already independent nations, appeared not only in already independent nations, but also among those who were still without a nation. Okay. The period between 1815 and 1850 1815 and 1850 was one of the struggles between forces of liberalism and conservatism. The July Revolution and February Revolution in France. Next point. The July Revolution and February Revolution in France sparked a series of liberal movements across the Europe tried to demolish no continue tried to demolish the whole structure created by Vienna Congress. The 1830 revolution in France established a constitutional government constitutional. On these lines, people rose for freedom and self-government. In Belgium, Italy, Germany, etc. Okay. Now put the heading Unification of Italy. Okay. Put the heading Unification of Italy. Since the fall of Roman Empire, Italy was divided into numerous states, some of which were under foreign rule, some of them under foreign rule, some of which were under foreign rule. Napoleon conquest. Napoleon conquest brought Italy under him temporarily. Brought under him temporarily, and his centralized system brought these states together. Hmm? Brought these states together. In this sense, Napoleon conquest paved the way for rise of national unity, rise of a sense of national unity. However, the Vienna Congress made an attempt to bring back pre-revolutionary condition. Italy was passed again under Austrian control. Austrian. Austria, no one thing. Right on. Continue. Austria directly ruled over. Actually, you should write this. Actually, shock. Austria, do one thing. Without touching the word, how can it be possible? this, this will create a constant fear, no? This metal is. So do one thing. Put that heading straight up. Actually, we'll write that point again. Straight up. Reorganization under Vienna Congress. Put that heading and then we'll write. मेरा घर वाले का फोन नंबर लेना, अगर कुछ हो गया तो इन्फॉर्म कर लेना. ठीक है. शशांक लोकल ही है. शशांक will find the address. Okay. So put the heading reorganization under Vienna Congress. Lombardy and Venetia. Lombardy and Venetia were under direct control of Austria. Next, Tuscany, Palma, Lucas, here I have written, Modena, were under Austrian influence. Were under were under indirect control of Austria. The Papal States of central Italy were under Pope. Were under Pope. Kingdom of Naples and Sicily were under Austrian influence. Okay. Only the kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia, only the kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia was under a national dynasty, was under national dynasty and outside the Austrian influence, and was outside the Austrian influence. Okay, right, last time. This restoration to old regime, this restoration to old order or old regime led to discontent among the people of Italy. Discontent among the people of Italy. Okay. According to David Thompson, you write that way, or David Thompson remarked that. David Thompson remarked that. Right on. Cavour was sorry. Mazzini was the brain. Sorry, heart. Mazzini was the heart. Cavour was the brain, and Garibaldi was the sword of Italian unification. David Thompson remarked that Mazzini was the heart, Cavour was the brain, and Garibaldi was the sword of Italian unification. Okay, put the heading course of Italian unification. Course means series of events. First one, carbonary movement. Right on. Carbonary. Carbonary was an informal secret revolutionary society active in Italy from 1800 to 1831. To 1831. They help to spread off ideas of the spread of ideas of liberalism and nationalism in Italy. Liberalism and nationalism in Italy. They organized many revolts They organized many revolts to liberate Italy from Austrian control. Italy from Austrian control. They attracted people from working class and middle class. These uprisings broke in, these revolts broke in Naples, Piedmont, and Lombardy. Naples, Piedmont, and Lombardy. However, the Austrian army suppressed them brutally. However, the Austrian army suppressed them brutally. Okay, next, Mazzini. After the failure of revolutionary movement, after the failure of revolutionary movement, it was guided by Mazzini and his Young Italy movement. He quickly influenced the people with ideas of liberalism and patriotism. He quickly influenced the people with ideas of liberalism and patriotism. For his role in revolutionary activities in 1830s, in exile, in exile, he realized the necessity of political awakening rather than terrorist activities. Activities. For this, he set up Young Italy Society. For this, he set up Young Italy Society and influenced the youth. Next, under him, a number of mass uprisings occurred in 1848. 48. However, this movement declined. However, this movement declined due to lack of coordination among the followers and suppression by Austria. And suppression by Austria. Okay. During this time, many Italians felt Mazzini's ideas as impractical and advocated Union of Italy under Kingdom of Sardinia. Next. Others felt others wanted a federation under papacy, So write on 3 schools. Write these 3. What are they? Republican school, Savoyard school, Papal school. But what is the common aim? To drive out Austrian influence. They all contributed to the national awakening called Risorgimento. Okay. Next, Cavour. Cavour, the Prime Minister of Piedmont, wanted to bring unity of Italy wanted to bring unity of Italy under ruling dynasty of Piedmont. Under ruling dynasty of Piedmont. As a result of failure of 1848 revolution, as a result of failure of 1848 revolution, the hopes of nationalists, the hopes of nationalists were now on Piedmont. He knew that this could be achieved only with European support and foreign alliance. Only with European support and foreign alliance. Right? Objectives of Cavour. Objectives of Cavour. Right down. Objectives of Cavour. What do you? I mentioned that 3 times. Copy it. Copy the 4. He introduced series of social, economic, and political reforms. He participated in Crimean War. He participated in Crimean War and entered into an alliance with Napoleon III. He received a seat at peace conference at Paris. A seat at peace conference at Paris. Which gave an opportunity to internationalize Italian cause. which gave an opportunity to internationalize Italian cause. Under Pact of Plumbiers, under the Pact of Plumbiers, Napoleon III promised to support Italy in war with Austria. In 1859, Austria declared war against Piedmont. Which broke out Austro-Sardinia War. Austro-Sardinia War. Austria was defeated in Battle of Solferino. Austria was defeated in Battle of Solferino. And Cavour annexed Milan and Lombardy. Napoleon III suddenly withdrawn. And formed an alliance with Austria. By signing Treaty of Villafranca. Treaty of Villafranca in 1859. Finally, Victor Emmanuel concluded a peace treaty with Austria. Treaty of Zurich. Concluded a peace treaty with Austria. That is Treaty of Zurich. Which ended Austro-Sardinian War. Which ended Austro-Sardinian War. Okay. Next, Garibaldi. He was a patriot, soldier, and a member of Young Italy movement. In 1860, a popular revolt broke out in Naples and Sicily against Bourbon monarchs. Against Bourbon monarchs. The rebels appealed to Garibaldi. The rebels appealed to Garibaldi. Garibaldi, next point. Garibaldi, under his Red Shirts army, led a military campaign Cavour remained neutral. Cavour remained neutral. Neutral in this and declared that declared Garibaldi as an unauthorized and independent adventurer, and declared Garibaldi as unauthorized and independent adventurer. Garibaldi led his army towards South Italy. Garibaldi led his army towards South Italy. Conquered whole southern Italy. Conquered whole southern Italy, which would include Rome. One second. Conquered whole southern Italy and decided to set up republic. Decided to set up a republic, which would include Rome. Pushing on to Rome would draw France into war. France into war. So Cavour realized such action and did not wanted to give and also did not wanted to give Garibaldi an upper hand. So he immediately dispatched Victor Emmanuel II to take over the war from Garibaldi. People of Naples and Sicily also voted for people of Naples and Sicily also voted for their union with Kingdom of Sardinia. Hence, voluntarily surrendered all his territories and powers to Victor Emmanuel II. With this, entire Italy, except Venetia and Rome, except Venetia and Rome, were brought under Kingdom of Sardinia. So meaning change हो जाता है ना. Except Venetia and Rome, brought under Kingdom of Sardinia. Kingdom of Piedmont. Okay. Kingdom of Sardinia. Italian unification was incomplete. Italian unification was incomplete, but was favored by political developments in Europe. When you're writing the territory, write the territory as Venice. Okay. So mentioning Venice. Venetian is a person, like we're referring to people. When you're writing Venice and Rome. Okay. Right first. In 1866, Prussia under Bismarck B-A-S-M-A-R-C-K. Prussia under Bismarck declared war on Austria and defeated it in Battle of Sadova. Battle of Sadova. Battle of Sadova. Italy being sided with Bismarck. Italy being sided with Bismarck. Italy being sided with Bismarck secured Venice. In 1870, when France was defeated by Prussia, when France was defeated by Prussia in Battle of Sedan, Rome was integrated into Italy. Lost. Thus, by 1870, unification of Italy was complete. Unification of Italy was complete, and a new nation was born. And a new nation was okay. So that's it. That's a topic called unification of Italy. So tomorrow we'll see unification of Germany. Okay, clear? Online students, Aditya and Ashu. Right. Okay. Thank you.